I never told this. Nobody's ever heard this. Except some scientists at NASA. That's the first time I've ever said that in my life, publicly. You're the first. And a million people's asked me this. Well, I won't say names, but...
Please do.
Well, you know, mentioned that date. A lot of people have.
Easter 2026.
About the year 2026. I gave them a specific time. Now you hear it all over TV. 2026, that's the big date. 2027, that year, something's going to happen.
All right, y'all, this video is going to be bonkers, okay? We have one of the most famous experiencers in the UFO community, Chris Bledsoe, coming out for the very first time and making a bold prediction for April 2026 in Easter. I've got all the details. Let's break it down. It started with this very interview right here on the Sean Ryan Show, and it just got released. But actually, beforehand, it wasn't going to get released. In fact, the family had put out a statement, the Bledsoe family, other people were tweeting about it. Basically, they were saying they couldn't be associated with elements of the story. And from some of the clips I'm going to play, you might understand why. So, you know, it's not going to get released, and it finally gets released, right? They're holding it back. And I think we may know why it got held back a little bit here. So I've got a few different clips from the actual Sean Ryan Show that just got released, okay, brand new clips. And then an older clip that I want to take a look at that may give us a little more detail of what exactly may happen during that time in April 2026.
I gave them the date of 2026 because they took that celestial event and ran it through these machines that showed that exact alignment will happen in 2026 at Easter.
What will happen?
The star will, the alignment she told me about, that the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, you know, but these astronomers run it through the machines, and it comes out that star is going to come up on the horizon in Easter of 2026. And from that point forward, they started remote viewing the state. Government did. And now you hear it all over TV. 2026, that's the big date. 2027, that year, something's going to happen. Armageddon, you hear it all over. You know, you hear it on TV. If you study, like I've heard even. Well, I won't say names, but
Please do.
And so don't worry, he says a name, and we'll get into that. But first, let's talk about what he just spoke about there, right? Because there's more to this. Don't worry. There is way more to this. Basically saying he was convinced, right? He was told by a particular non-human entity, right, that he calls the lady, that there would be a certain alignment, a celestial alignment, right, of this particular star with the Sphinx in Egypt and that alignment. And he was like, I don't know if this is going to happen. So he asked some astronomers. Those astronomers put it in their machine and check it, and it's like, oh, that is going to happen on April 2026. So from there forth, he's like believing this, right? And then he says people from the government start remote viewing it, and because of that, all next thing you know, people are talking about it. Now people are throwing out 2026, 2027. Well, which is it? Is it 2026 or 2027? But regardless, the 2027 is out there, right? Is this all connected? Right, I made a couple videos about that. I'll put links in the description, one from Jeremy Corbell and one about Luis Elizondo. I recommend checking out both of those. That is about an incoming alien threat allegedly coming in 2027. But Chris Bledsoe here is talking about April 2026, right, specifically. Now, the next name he's about to mention is a name you're familiar with, right? And it's a name I just mentioned.
Well, I won't say names, but
Please do.
well, you know Lou Elizondo, right? Lou's mentioned that date. A lot of people have.
Easter 2026.
Well, the year 2026. I gave him the specific time. And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all. And then he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby, this little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of the Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the Star of Regulus. And he looks like, he's like, oh my God, that's the King Star.
All right, so a couple things, maybe three. First, he names Luis Elizondo there, right? And he's trying to connect, I guess, Luis Elizondo talking about the 2027 threat. Again, check out my video for that so you can get the full details. It's almost like he's trying to bring people into his orbit here about this same sort of event, that something's happening. Is this what Luis Elizondo is talking about? He says something has been observed. Is this what he means? Again, check out that video for the full context. So he's naming names. He's bringing Luis Elizondo into this, and basically, we're being told there's something coming, right? And again, check out that Jimmy Corvell video too, because he talks about, he's basically calling out the lie. It's, again, two very interesting videos to check out. So anyway, next thing, right, he's talking about his friend here who was looking for a ruby, right, to put in the paws of the Sphinx in Egypt, right? And when that would align perfectly, I mean, straight up like Indiana Jones here, that would align perfectly with light or something, and something would happen, magical, I don't know. But then Chris, delivers an epiphany to this gentleman and says, it's the star of whatever, Regulus or something, that this, that's it. It's not an actual ruby, that goes in. And so, now everyone's mystified, right? So I don't know. This seems like an interesting story, to say the least. I don't know what's going on here. But the best clip is coming up, because now you're going to get to hear Chris make a bold prediction for April 2026, because it's not just that date and it's what's going to happen on that date specifically. So buckle up.
Event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the Star of Regulus. And he looks like, he's like, oh my God, it's the King Star. So what's going to happen, I don't know. But I think it's possible that's the return of
Christ.
Yeah. Or the lady and the whole heavenly host living with us, Jesus. That's the first time I've ever said that in my life, publicly. You're the first. And 1 million people's asked me this. So I think it's entirely possible that, because she told me that when the suffering of man becomes too great, that they're going to stop it and they're going to snuff out the darkness.
What? So in April 2026, the second coming of Jesus Christ, that's right, from the Bible, King James Version, I guess. Yes, the Christianity religion, right? Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is coming back on April 2026, right? And Chris Bledsoe has never said this publicly, right? So now clock's ticking. We got a little over a year, right? Does that spell doomsday? Because in the Bible, it's not a good time if you're not a follower of his, right? So it's like, the rapture, I think, happens around there. Before that, I can't remember. It's been 20 years since I studied the Bible, to be honest with you. But, okay, I don't even know what to make of this, to be honest with you, right? That's quite a bold claim, and I'm curious how people are going to take it. Let me know what you think in the comments. But basically, that's what Chris is saying, right? April 2026, again, to repeat. April 2026, the second coming of Jesus Christ, right? And this is his first time saying this publicly from Bledsoe. And he waited for the Sean Ryan show, which has been filmed for 4 months. So Chris didn't talk about it, right? That's why maybe he wanted this episode to come out. And maybe Sean Ryan didn't want to be associated with this, but he's kind of forced to release it or was going to release it anyway. I'm not sure. But it took months and months for this to come out, right? So it's kind of interesting. Why did this get held back? Is that the reason? And what made them publish the episode and why now, right? And what's going to happen with this prediction if it doesn't come true, right? And bringing in Luis Elizondo into this too, right? And other people who are going to make just predictions about prophecies, which I'm just not a big fan of, if I'm being honest. So, hey, but to each their own. This is information. You can take it in, make up your own mind. Now, I've got one other clip to show you guys from another podcast that he did that I think you're going to find is very interesting and gives a lot of context to what actually on that day may happen. Not just Jesus coming down, but what are some of the other things that might happen? Take a listen.
I never told this. Nobody's ever heard this. Except some scientists at NASA. And I've studied this for years with them, with the world's expert on tektites. You know, how is a tektite formed? What created tektites? Had to be by the sun. Why did they go to the moon in 57? Why did they create the geophysical year in 57, 58, where they showed the earth on fire with God's hand on a postage stamp, 3-cent postage stamp? So I was shown this vision of the sun expanding itself over Earth until it took up the whole sky. And then it flashed. Poof. And when it did, it destroyed this planet. So this was part of what they showed me. So I ended up studying years with that. And I think that may be what has happened in the past more than once. That
So they showed you the sun expanding to the point where it destroyed the Earth.
goes supernova.
And then it collapsed back into itself.
Poof. When it hit the side of the Earth, what I saw was it flashed the Pacific side of the ocean, and it blew the sand and the water off, like shot it out into space. Created the icy comets, sandy icy comets, just flung way out in space and coming around. So then the Earth stopped rotating for 3 days, got lopsided, and then it started going the other way. And when it did, a wall of water come over the whole United States and created the Grand Canyon.
From west to east.
Yep, from east to west.
From east to west.
Yep.
So onto the East Coast,
it came from the East Coast and washed over California. Created the scab lands, created Nevada, Utah, those Washington area.
But that's the west coast of the United States.
We went across.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
This was something they showed me. I've never told this. It's the first time I've ever told it.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Publicly.
The exclusive, limitless exclusive.
Seriously.
That's crazy, man.
All right, we're almost done with that clip. There's just a little bit more that I want to show you. But I want to give a shout out to Matt Beal, Limitless. Go check out that interview, link in the description. Very interesting what Chris Bledsoe is saying right there, right? Again, this is something he's never said before. This flash of light that's going to engulf, take out the Earth, Mad Max style. Well, which is it? I don't know what's happening. There's a supernova. Earth is gone or Earth is in a wasteland? I'm not sure. But when does Jesus come into play here? Is this happens after? I mean, I don't know what's happening, to be honest with you, right? I don't know what these predictions are, these prophecies, and maybe they're just meant to be interpreted, right? Like when you have a dream, just interpret it. Not necessarily something exactly that's what's going to happen, a vision. I don't know. Very interesting. So, look, there's a little bit more. Take a listen.
Yeah. That's crazy. So, what do you think that means? Like, when do you think that's something that we have the ability to change?
Yeah. Yes. And why that is something that I was explained by them. Was everything has a consciousness, including the Earth. The Earth is a living organism that is much like lives in harmony with everything with it. But people, our collective consciousness can affect this planet, and it's doing it. It's like the day of the election when they were counting the votes, the Schumann resonance was off the charts because everybody collectively was zeroed in on that thing. It wasn't the sun doing it, it was the collective consciousness of people. So the way she described it was, the more divided we become on this planet, the more division, the more war, the more negativity, the more the earth will try to rid itself of what's causing this problem. And I think that these, and I'm speculating, right? But this is what I was told and what I was shown. So all I can do is reveal this, which I've never done publicly, outside of scientists.
So he's never told it publicly. He's just warning us all. He has told some scientists. My guess is one of them is Tim Taylor. If you know, you know. That's Inside Baseball. I made a great video about him. If you want to learn more, I'll put a link in the description. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. That really helps out a lot. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.